Praise Yah, praise Yah, praise Yah. To you, O Yahweh Sabaoth, be honor, esteem, praise, worship, and adoration. We, your children, come before you on this Yom Ravi once again to study your word, to study your truth, because you said that we should diligently seek your word, studying to show ourselves approved unto you, workmen and workwomen, needing not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. We come now, O Yahweh, as we look at our ancestors and our history. We look at the foundation, O Elohim, even for your word. For you brought your word through our ancestors, and now you have made it alive in us, even more so today, as we have our Moshiach in us. We give you thanks for this. Now we pray that as your Ruach HaKodesh is in every believer, open our hearts and our minds that we might understand your truth. Reveal to us, O Elohim, that which we have never seen before. Reveal to us that which was hidden from us. Reveal to us, O Elohim, the unraveling of the deception concerning what we were taught, so that we might know the truth, and the truth make us free. Bless us now, O Yah, as we invoke your Ruach to come forth and lead us and guide us into all truth. We bless your set-apart name now. We look to you. Torah, Torah, Torah Yahweh, Hashem Yahusha. Amen. Amen and amen. Praise Yah. Okay. We're going to get started right now. We're going to go straight to our PowerPoint, picking up from where we left off. I hope everybody did the reading assignment, because it'll be very helpful for discussions if we can get the reading assignments in. Okay. Let's scroll. Okay, let's go to big screen first, which should be better. Good. Now, part 2, Abram to Abraham, History of the Hebrew People, part 2. Now, we're looking at the life of our father Abraham, and you see in the title, I have his name as Abraham, because it is the name at the end of his life, and we're talking about his life, so say Abraham. But before it was Abraham, it was Abram. Some say Abram, which means exalted father. He is the first mentioned Hebrew in scripture, as we saw last week, and is intentionally and specifically selected from the descendants of Shem to be progenitor or father of a people chosen by Yahweh for himself. At the age of 75 years old, Yah called him out of Babylon, and that is Chazdim, or of the Chaldees. The Chaldean Empire proceeded from the Sumerian Empire, which was first set up after the flood. Now, Abram came out of and he went to Haran with his father. And after his father's death, he left Haran with his 65-year-old wife, Sarah, and his nephew, Lot. And they traveled down to Canaan. And in chapter 12 of Bereshit, or Genesis, we see the interaction that Abram has on his way down into Canaan. There was a famine, and he went down into Mitzrayim. Was a bit deceitful with Pharaoh, but at the same time, he was using wisdom in that Sarah was his half-sister, and that is the only part of the information he gave to the Pharaoh, which he considered need to know. Now, in all of that, Yahweh stepped in. Pharaoh gave back Sarah and gave a lot of gifts to Abram. Actually, Abram, just going down into Mitzrayim, encountered that and came out much more wealthier than he went in. So here we begin to see the accumulation of the blessings that Yah has upon Abram, using every situation and every circumstance to enhance what he had promised to Abram. All of this is found in Bereshit chapter 12, sorry, and comparatively in the book of Yasher, Sefer Yasher. And Yasher gives a little bit more account of why one of the reasons that pushed Abram to leave Ur, in addition to Yahweh calling him out, and then more information about what happened to Haran, Abram's older brother, how he got to Lot, and so on and so forth. But this is the beginning of Abram's journey. 75 years is when he received his call. Now, Abraham definitely is the patriarch of Israel, the first patriarch of Israel. In Bereshit chapter 13 and 14, shares the events of Abram. First, in allowing Lot to separate himself because of his greed. Lot was kind of greedy. He was being blessed and increased because of his uncle, but he still saw his uncle as an object of competition and allowed his herdsmen to actually quarrel rather than giving respect to the senior. Now, Abram, not being moved by any of this, does somebody want to say something?
I had my hand up because when you mentioned Pharaoh, I thought it was Abimelech.
Yes, it happened. It happened twice.
Oh, okay. No, not contesting your
knowledge. No. You wanted to know.
Yes.
I understand. Yes. And I won't be able to see your hand. So please, everybody on. If I hear a mic open and something come out, I will make sure that is not somebody or is somebody trying to get my attention with a question or comment. Okay, but feel free to do so. Now, continuing, Bereshit chapter 13 and 14 shares the events of Abram and Lot. Lot, when Abram gave him the opportunity to choose, Lot chose what appeared to him as the greener grass. And in looking for the greener grass and thinking that he got one up on his old uncle, he went into Sodom and Gomorrah, and first outside the city and then inside the city. And then in chapter 14, we see Lot being rewarded for his greed by being in the wrong place and by his choice at the wrong time. Can't say little, you have 5 kings coming up against 4 kings, and Lot caught in the middle. So he was taken captive because his group of kings didn't meet the match. So they were taken captive. Abram was told about it. And when Abram was told about it, was the first time the word Hebrew or Ibri was used, and it was used for Abram. So even though Eber might be the root, Ibri was the first time used for Abram, and would follow with all of his descendants straight from this point on. Now, and Abram did something miraculous. First of all, it showed bravery and strength. He and 318 of his servants, plus some of his friends from the land of Canaan, pursued these victorious kings with their spoil. And 318 plus a few spoiled the entire entourage, took back everything that was taken. Lot included, and all that belonged to Lot. The kings and what they had, Abram was able to get all back. And that's when Yah is with you. And Yah makes a promise to you. He always keeps it. Now, on the way back from the slaughter of the kings, we find where Abram comes into a person called Melchizedek. Malki is my king, Melchizedek, a righteous, my righteous king, Melchizedek. Now, this is the first time this individual is mentioned in scripture. And he's mentioned two other times besides this, one in Tehillim and Psalm, and the other in the book of Hebrews. Many people have a lot to say about Melchizedek. The book of Yasha said Melchizedek was actually Shem, and quite possibly so, because as we moved from last week's study, that Shem was alive and actually spent time with Avram, and Avram spent time with Shem, both Shem and Noah. So it's not surprising that at this point, while Shem is still alive, that he would encounter Abram and Abram encounter him, and he, out of respect for the person who Shem is, gives him a tenth of what he had. And this is the first mention of the Hebraic principle of tithing. You'd note that last week we did in Torah study, Bamidbar chapter 18, and it dealt with tithing. Well, that whole tithing came as a principle and a custom that Abram, the ancient ancestor, had practiced long before it was given at Sinai in the Torah. Another one of our ancestors, the grandson of Abram, did the same thing, and that's Yaakov. And he did it. Why? Because he learned it. It was something that was learned. And Abram taught the knowledge of Elohim that was taught to him by Noah and Shem. He taught to his descendants, in particular, the ones who would carry on the lineage as patriarch.
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you said you can't see our hands, so I just opened my mic. I'm very
Excellent.
confused about Melchizedek.
Yes.
I'm so confused because people have mentioned that he may be Yahuah, and he didn't have a mother and he didn't have a father, and so I'm all confused about Melchizedek, because Yeshua is supposed to be a high priest after the order of Melchizedek.
Yes.
So who is Melchizedek?
Okay. Melchizedek himself, the reason why the book of Hebrews says that Melchizedek just pops up and he's without father and mother is because in Bereshit, there is nothing to identify him as being Shem. There's nothing to identify him as having existed through a genealogy, that is, having parents. We have no knowledge of his parents. And because that is not present there, then the writer of Hebrews write according to how it appears. And he's doing it for the sake of Adon Yahusha, in that Melchizedek, which means, like I said, my righteous king, he's also identified as being a priest of the Most High, El Elyon. The Most High Elohim. So definitely he was serving Yahuah. Many people say that Melchizedek is Yahusha. And I think that's what you were alluding to, that he was actually pre-incarnate Yahusha. However, it does not appear so. Appearances of Adon Yahusha are very significant, and his appearances were always as a messenger, the messenger of Yah. I think we studied that sometime back. Rastafarians call themselves priests after the order of Melchizedek. There are a lot of people who say that they themselves are after the order of Melchizedek. But the order of Melchizedek is specific to Melchizedek himself and to Adon Yahusha. And this is spelled out in the book of Hebrews, where in the book of Hebrews, the writer is Shaul, states that Levi or Louis, while in the loins of Abram, returned tithe to Melchizedek. This showing that Melchizedek himself was a priest and was receiving tithing. Then he goes on to say that when one tithe, they tithe from the lesser to the greater. Because when we tithe to Yahuah. From be a lesser, he is the greater. And this being the case, Abram and Louis in the priesthood was subject to Melchizedek. Yahusha did not come, the writer is saying he did not come through the bloodline because he was not, Yosef was not his father, but the Ruach HaKodesh, that his priesthood is elevated just like Melchizedek, just like how Louis produced Aaron, who became Kohen HaGodel. There is one greater even than that. However, one thing that we must realize is that even though Adon Yahusha has the priesthood after Melchizedek, it does not rule out the Aaronic priesthood, because Melchizedek existed prior to Aaron, and Aaron still received the priesthood, and it was still consistent as being under Melchizedek, because Aaron actually returned tithe while in the loins of Avram to Melchizedek. So when we talk about Melchizedek, I would tend to lean more toward Shem, because Melchizedek again is more of a descriptive title, my righteous king, and that could be applied to Avram, that could apply to Adon Yahusha, that could be applied to Lot, but that's not really their name, but rather the identifying mark.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that's my understanding, my take on Melchizedek.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Now we go to Habrit, very, very important, extremely important as a matter of fact. Habrit, the covenant. It's the single most important aspect of the special relationship Yahweh has with his people. The covenant, as expressed in Bereshit 15, that's Genesis 15, is the foundation for what is referred to as the Abrahamic covenant. The covenant cut between Yahweh and Avram was unique to the customs of the Near East, that is East Africa and Asia. Cutting a covenant actually requires blood and requires death, because that death must signify that if the agreement is violated, may this happen to the violator. Okay, so cutting of the animal signified the death of the violator of such a covenant, and it was sworn or reinforced when the two individuals would actually swear by the names of their mighty ones. Whereas in this case, it is in chapter 15, Yahweh is the one cutting the covenant with Abram, and there's none greater than Yahweh. So Shaul in the book of Ivrim or Hebrews says in Ivrim chapter 6, verse 13, he says, "But Elohim, having promised Abram, since he could swear by no one greater, swore by himself, saying, Truly, baracha, I shall barach you, and increasing, I shall increase you." Yahweh swore by himself because he's the ultimate power, putting in force the most powerful agreement that has ever existed. That is what makes it so unique. No other person has Yahweh stepped down and given such a covenant to. There's been other covenants, mind you. Other covenants, remember we got the rainbow covenant, we got that Yah made with Noah. We have the covenant with Phinehas, the covenant of salt with Phinehas for the everlasting priesthood. We got the covenant with David, that there will always be a king on his throne, even straight into eternity. But all of those covenants that were cut seem to be covered by this overreaching covenant, because the covenant itself, even though Abram was born after the covenant of the rainbow does not contradict the covenant habrit that Yah gave to Abram. But this covenant that he made with Abram was impacted by the fact that he was the one who walked through the midst of the pieces. Yahweh was the one who went through the midst of the pieces. And in doing that, he actually united himself, or allowed Abram to be united with him in an everlasting covenant, a promise, an oath that, and the writer of Ibrahim said it so beautifully, that because of two immutable things, that is, Yahweh cannot change, and then Yahweh does not lie. It is impossible for him to lie. Said, yeah, he made this arrangement with Abram. So we could see already that the covenant is the single most important aspect of Abram, because without it, Abram would not be Abram. He would not be the father of the faithful. As a matter of fact, there would be nothing between Yah and him. But his covenant was not only with Abram, it was also with his sons after him, all of his seed, sons and daughters after him, for every generation, for as long as there are generations occurring on the earth. That's how long this covenant is to last. Okay, so I want us to focus on the covenant because of the importance of the covenant. And you're going to see that the covenant that Yah made with Abram is on his ancestors to this day. And you're going to see how this same covenant that Yah makes with Abram is carried forward, expanded, and becomes more intricate. But it is the same covenant because it's based on what's happening here in Bereshit chapter 15.
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, when I was reading this, where it says you'll no longer be called Abram but Abraham, it
Yes.
just impacted me the way the vowels were injected in between the consonants, and I'm like, I thought they had no vowels in between the names at first, as in like in Paleo Hebrew. Why is his name being changed from Abram to Avraham? You know, which is very vowel filled, and for some reason.
No, not really, I'm not verifying, right? But the word Abram, spelled in English, Abram,
Uh-huh.
is actually the Hebrew letters Aleph, Bet, Resh, Mem, Avram.
So what is the significance, the changing of the meaning of the name from Abram to Abraham?
Okay, actually, we're going to get right to that because that's in the process too. You'll see the name change, and when it's changed from Abram to Abraham, vowels was not placed in. I said that Abram is spelled Aleph Bet Resh Mem. Abraham is spelled Aleph Bet Resh He Mem.
Okay.
So there's not is it He? Yes, He Mem.
Not to distract you so often, but that I really wanted to an explanation.
Yes.
This, you know?
And no, I am purposely, I am purposely taking my time and actually want to encourage questions because this foundation will help set a lot of clarity in our history, even coming forward to the 21st century.
Okay.
So please go ahead and ask your question as often as you want. And I'm praying that questions asked are helpful to everybody else also.
Okay, thank you.
Now, Pabrit, the covenant itself is an eternal binding agreement that is bilateral. By being bilateral, I mean that there are two parties involved. It is an agreement. The bilateral in that for obedience and service to Yahweh by Abram and his seed, Yahweh will in turn bless, protect, provide for them in every generation. So you see, the agreement is you do this, I will do this. You don't do this, then expect this. And that is the terms and the conditions of the agreement straight through. And this is not only for Abram, but for Abram's seed in every generation. Yahweh also used Abram as a means through whom all mankind would be blessed. And that was a subtle prophecy of Yahusha, how Yahusha would actually be a blessing to all humankind. He came through Abram to be a blessing to the rest of mankind. He was not, even though he came through Israel, He was not just for Israel. And I know a lot of people have problems with that, but he did not come just for Israel. He came for everybody who would accept him, because he is the only means by which mankind can be reconciled to the Father. And without reconciliation, all mankind is lost. Okay? Now, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because where is it that Yeshua says, other sheep than these I have also, when he came to first to speak to the children, the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and then he said himself, other
Yes.
sheep besides those I have also. So I can see what you're just saying here now.
Yes. And that's found in Yahuah and John 10:10. The sheep I have that are not of this fold, them I must
Yes.
bring also, so that there's one fold and one shepherd. And this this shows too that Yah had always considered all mankind, but he specifically chose Avram to be the means by which the knowledge of him and the reconciliatory process takes place through Avram and through his descendants. Yes. Now, this covenant, after it went to Abram, went to Yitzhak, Abram's son, and then to Yaakov, Yitzhak's son, Abram's grandson. And from Yaakov to his 12 sons and 2 grandsons after him, each one of them having leadership as a descendant of Abram, bearing the covenant, guiding their those who are under them in the way of Yah. And I hope we get to it, but here it is. Covenant and prophecies. Yahweh said to Abram in Bereshit, or Genesis 18:17-19. He said, shall I hide from Abram what I am doing? Since Abram is certainly going to become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I have known him, so that he commands his children and his household after him to guard the way of Yahweh. And that's very important. Abram had learned the way of Yahweh. To guard the way of Yahweh is to hedge it in by doing it. Not just knowing it or speaking it, but doing it is to guard it. And so this is saying that Abram has guarded Yah's Torah. And that's right. That means that Abram had knowledge of the Torah even then. And Yahweh said that he will guard his way, he's guard Yahweh's way, to do righteousness and right ruling. Okay? Because so that Yahweh brings to Abram all he has spoken. And this is what I want to get you. He will command his children and his household to obey Yahweh, to walk in obedience to the covenant, walk in agreement to the terms and the conditions of that covenant. Continuing with covenant and prophecies. The right rulings are the terms, as I said, the terms and conditions that are spelled out in the beginning in the book of Shemot, or Exodus, chapter 19 and chapter 20. Now, what we're quoting here is at the placement is at Sinai, and years after Abram, but it's very important to see the connection. At Sinai, the descendants of Abram, Yitzhak, and Yaakov said to Yahweh, and this is after Yahweh brought them out of Mitzrayim, brought them to Mount Sinai, and 3 days before he came to meet with them, he sent a message through Moshe to them, stating basically the same thing, the same promise that he had made to Abram when he called Abram out of the Chaldean. And I'm going to read something here so that we can see that a covenant is being spoken of here, and that the covenant carries the same promise, term or condition that was with Abram. Now, it says here in chapter 19, Yahweh says to Moshe, beginning at verse 3. And Moshe went up to Elohim, and Yahweh called to him from the mountain, saying, this is what you are to say to the house of Yaakov, and declare to the children of Israel, You have seen what I did to the Mitzrites, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. And now, if you diligently obey my voice, and listen to this, and shall guard my covenant, and this covenant is the same covenant that he made with Abram, and he is invoking the descendants of Abram, that I will do for Abram, I will do for you what I did for Abram because you obeyed my covenant. But continuing, he said, then you shall be my treasured possession above all the earth, above all the people, sorry, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be to me a reign of Kohanim and Kodesh nation. Those are the words which you are to speak to the children of Israel. These are the same words that Kefa repeats in the Brit Hadash when he said, you are a royal priesthood, so on and so forth. But he said that as an Israelite, knowing that that is what Yahuah said to Israel at Sinai concerning the covenant. So when he is saying that in his letter, he is referring to the covenant, to the Torah, because the Torah expresses the terms and conditions. Now, Yahuah, when he spoke of Abram, said Abram will do the right rulings. He didn't go into all of what Abram knew, but he said based the right rulings. And the right rulings, he doesn't have a set of right rulings for Abram and a set for another generation. All is the same. Righteousness is righteousness from the garden at creation straight to the end of the age. The definition of righteousness doesn't change. People might try to change it because I know people who like to gaslight. They will change what is obvious and put it as something different. But that doesn't mean that you have to actually accept that. Know the truth. The truth will make you free. So we're looking here now at this covenant. And the descendants said this to Yahuah in verse 8. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahuah has spoken, we shall do. What they did was they shook hands on the covenant. They agreed that they will abide by the covenant. So right then, even before they heard all of the terms and the conditions, which comes in chapter 20, and further on, they said, we're going to do it. We're going to do what you told Abram to do. We're going to do the right rulings. It is only after they heard it, that they said they couldn't bear to hear it. But that's our ancestors. So we have to be careful of, the generational curses, same type of attitudes. These are things, if brothers and sisters, if you consider yourself as being related to Abram, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, and you are going against the covenant that you have joined yourself to just by being a descendant, then expect to be cursed. Expect the things to go wrong. Expect that if you do the things that caused Israel to be punished, expect the same thing to happen. You ain't gonna change. A lot of people believe that. A lot of people in Christianity says, Yahuah of the Brit Hadash, of the renewed covenant, is different from the Elohim of the Tanakh. Said the Elohim of the Tanakh is cruel, and that he doesn't waste time. He meets all judgment. But he has been patient from that time, and he's still patient now. He deals with people according to the limit that he gives to them now. Always has. Now, this is very important for us to understand that, and especially for those who might hear this recording, the Torah is very, very important to Yahuah. It is the outlined terms and conditions for blessings and curses. And that's what the covenant is all about. Blessings and curses, and then the ultimate, eternal life. And that comes when we accept Messiah, his blood, as the ratification of the covenant. And we're going to get to it some more, but the covenant, and we're going to do something on the covenant in particular, the covenant of when Moshe joined Israel to the covenant officially, and Shemot of Exodus chapter 24. He sprinkled the blood of bulls on them, sprinkled it on the book of the Torah. and that blood joined the people to the Torah. Now we have the blood of Moshiach sprinkled on us and on the Torah, bringing us intimately to the covenant. And this is what Jeremiah spoke of in Jeremiah chapter 31 to 33. He said, behold, the days are coming when, and let me not misquote it because it's so very powerful. It's 31, sorry. And it's from verse 31. See, the days are coming, declares Yahuah, when I shall make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah. Not like the covenant I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim, my covenant which they broke, though I was a husband to them, declares Yahuah. And how did they break the covenant? They broke the covenant by being disobedient to it. That they were disobedient to the terms and the conditions. What many people don't realize is the terms and conditions of the covenant has not changed. But now, instead of the blood of a bull ratifying it, we have the blood of Messiah ratifying it, and in a more intimate way, because he writes it on the tables of our hearts. Not as our ancestors heard in their ears in Exodus chapter 20. It is written on our hearts when we accept Master Yahushua's blood as our sin offering for reconciliation to Yahuah. Yahuah says, but this is the covenant I shall make with the house of Israel after those days, declares Yahuah. I shall put my Torah. So you see, the Torah is the centerpiece of the covenant. Not necessarily the blood. The blood is extremely important because of what it does to the Torah once it is in us. So that once we are redeemed and we follow the Torah, we now have power to do what the Torah requires. And as long as we're doing what the Torah requires, then Yahuah, who's on the next side of the covenant, will bless. And this is where the blessings flow from that Adon Yahushua speaks of when we read the Brit Hadash. It's about obedience to the Torah. And there's no sidestepping. And Yahuah deals with every individual on a balanced base. Some people might think they are more special. Some think they are very unique. Yahuah deals with all the same way. Yep. And I say he deals with all the same way. His justice is balanced for every individual. And he does not change what he says he will do against those who violate. So there is no, oh, that person is that, he can get it worse. Yeah, he can get it. And he will get what he's supposed to get. But don't think that because you do not do because he didn't do, that you won't get it and you're going to blame him. No, you're going to get it for yourself too. And that's what we should realize. So we have to obey the Torah. We have to recognize that it is an everlasting covenant that we have to actually keep. And this is very sad for many of our Christian brothers and sisters who are taught that the Torah or the law is done away with when it's so necessary in order to follow Messiah. You're not saved by the Torah, but you are saved to keep Torah. This is the righteousness that you do after you are saved. You cannot do away with it. And this is something that needs to be understood, especially for the lost sheep of the house of Israel scattered in the nations. Because once they understand this, once it's understood, then that covenant relationship could be restored correctly. And the captivity that is on the lost sheep of the house of Israel could be removed, as Yah promised in Deuteronomy chapter 30. But all that is, just a little extra there, because we're talking about the covenant. Now, all of Israel who made that statement at Sinai was joined with Yahuah in the same covenant that Avram made with him. So that here it is, Yah's covenant and his promise and his oath is coming forward to the generations of Avram. Furthermore, in chapter 15 of Bereshit or Genesis, Yahuah spoke a prophecy concerning the descendants of Avram being enslaved as part of his plan for them. and that he brought them out of the slavery in the fourth generation. And that fourth generation would have began from Yaakov, excuse me, Jacob's 12 sons, then Jacob's 12 sons, and then the sons after that, and that would be the generation of Moshe and Aaron and so on and so forth. So that's the fourth generation. Long before Abram had a son, this covenant was cut and this prophecy was made. Yahuah had plans, and Yahuah was using Abram and preparing him for the plans that he had for him. Now, when we come now to Abram's first son in Bereshit chapter 16. Abram, having been encouraged by his wife to engage in what was culturally customary for women who were barren, to obtain a surrogate, that is, having a fertile woman conceive with her husband, and when birthing, the surrogate mother would do so in the lap of the barren mother, thus giving the barren woman motherhood and raising the child on her laps as if it's her own. Now, Hagar was that woman. So that we understand who Hagar was, according to Sefer Yashir, she was an Egyptian princess, the daughter of the Pharaoh who almost took Sarai as his wife. She, yes?
Well,
Yes, sir.
yes, I recognize you. You probably did not see my hand, so that's
Oh.
in my mind.
Oh, yes, please open the mic, Elder, because I cannot see the hand.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I just needed to ask a question. As you put up this, well, it was kind of in my mind, but as you put up this slide,
Yes.
it's entitled Abraham's first son.
Yes.
But aren't we speaking about Abraham's first son and not Abraham? Because
He's not, yes, his name's not changes yet.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was going to ask you about it earlier. In fact, I remember when Sister Vic asked you the question about the name change, and you said you would have gotten to it. And then I noted that you went on to quoting things from Shemoth,
Yes.
Exodus, but you were using the same name, Avram. So I was wondering when we are going to get to that name change. And I'm seeing Abraham in the text, but you're using Avram all the time. So,
Yes.
so I think we have to differentiate
Okay.
when we are speaking about Avram before his name was changed, and once his name is changed and we're referring to him after that, then it should be Abraham. So his first son was not when he was Abraham, it was when he was Avram.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
And I don't know if you recall when I opened in the first slide, I mentioned that I have the life of Abraham, and that's because Abraham was the name that he had when he died. And because we're speaking about his life, that I was using Abraham. As we're going through the scriptures, I'm using Abram, like here, Abram, having been encouraged by his wife, I'm using Abram. Moving toward the place where the name is changed. And the answer to the question concerning the name change actually is in the either the next slide or the slide afterward.
Okay.
Okay. So thanks for it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's just that my concern was with you using Avram in instances like in Shemoth when his name had already been changed. You see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you were using Avram all the time, even though you were referring to him after his name was changed. So that's why I was a little bit confused.
Okay, I'm sorry about the confusion. My apologies.
Okay, Torah.
Okay, Waukesha. Yeah, as we were saying about Sarah or Sarai, she was given to Hagar was given to Sarai by the Pharaoh. He gave his daughter to Sarai as a handmaid, And that is where she became part of the Abrahamic entourage. And it was through Ishmael, through Hagar, that Abram's first son Ishmael came into being. But that was not Yah's intention. He wanted Sarai to be that one through whom, because first of all, the stock is different in that Hagar, being an Egyptian, is a different stock from Abram. Abram and Sarai share so close affinity, even to being the half brother. That would make this the offspring from Abram and Sarai to be very, very strong in the way of Abram and Sarai. Both of them are both culturally and what? They're so connected. They're connected culturally because they grew up together, grew up in the same house, learned the same things, and so on and so forth. Whereas Hagar's culture is based in Mitzrayim. Yahweh wanted the seed to come through Abram and Sarai. Okay, now here we are, important sign or ut. And ut is the Hebrew for sign. You remember the word ut when we studied the mark of the beast, because we used the Hebrew as it was mentioned in the book of Ezekiel, where those who belong to Yahweh actually received or were marked in their foreheads, the ut in their foreheads. And this is why during that time I mentioned that the ut that marked in the Tanakh, in Ezekiel, is the same as sealed in Hazan or Revelation in chapter 7. The same thing, it's a seal. And those things could be used interchangeably. Nevertheless, Yahweh here, it's in chapter 17 that Yahweh here changes Abram's name to Abraham, which means father of many nations. Remember in the first introductory slide, Abram's name meant exalted father, and it's spelled Aleph Bet Resh Mem, whereas Abraham is Aleph Bet Resh He Mem, and that He is what changed the whole name and made many father of many nations, giving a definitive description to who Abram now was. And the same thing with Sarai. Sarai was changed from Sarai to Sarah, and Sarah means princess and also fertile plain. So this is fitting for a woman who was once barren, who will now become the mother of many nations. So that is about the name there, and that's where the name changed, and that is the meanings of those two names. Abram, exalted father, Abraham, father of many nations. Continuing, Yahweh solidifies this change with an outward ut, an outward sign of covenant. The sign was and still is circumcision. That is the sign of the covenant, not the covenant itself, but the sign of the covenant. When this sign is seen, that means that that is a son or daughter of the covenant. Benai Brit or Bat Brit, son of the covenant, daughter of the covenant. And it was mandatory and still is mandatory for all of the descendants of Abram. We have a lot of people running around saying that they are Israelites and they are Hebrews and so on and so forth. But I don't think many people realize that circumcision is specific, even though other nations perform circumcision. Like circumcision was done in Egypt, circumcision was done in Ethiopia from ancient times. But Yahweh used this act to show his people, give an outward sign that they are under covenant with him. So many people are running around and saying that they are Israelites and that they are the seed of Abram, but are not circumcised. And this is very powerful what Yah is going to say concerning this. In Bereshit 17, Genesis 17, 9 through 14.
Before you move on, Kohen,
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I just have a question, not to digress, but I was wondering, do you think you mentioned Hagar being the daughter of the Pharaoh?
Yes.
Do you think it was out of submission or submissiveness to Yahuah that the Pharaoh wanted to make sure that he was making up for that mistake that he almost took Sarah as his wife, that he wanted to show okay, I'm trying to make up to you, so he gave his daughter as handmaiden to Sarai.
Am I right? Have you ever read the book of Yasher?
No.
Okay. Then the Ruach HaKodesh just showed you, or just used you just now to speak exactly what the book of Yasher says.
Oh.
As a matter of fact, the Pharaoh told his daughter that it is better for her to be a maid in Abram's house than to be a mistress in his palace because of what Yah has covered Abram in.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
The book of Yasher, is it? It's not in my Bible. It's not in my scriptures.
No, it's one of those
Okay.
books that you probably would not find in it,
Oh,
but
okay. Okay.
actually was in use, read, and leaned on before the canonization of the Old Testament by the Pharisees.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, in Bereshit chapter 17, 9 through 14, and I would like to read this. It says that, and Elohim said to Abram, as for you, guard my covenant, you and your seed after you throughout their generations. That's it. After you throughout your generations. This is my covenant which you guard between me and you and your seed after you. Every male child among you is to be circumcised, and you shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall become a sign of the covenant between me and you. And a son of 8 days is circumcised by you, every male child in your generations. He who is born in your house or bought with silver from any foreigner who is not of your seed, he who is born in your house and he who is bought with your silver has to be circumcised. So shall my covenant be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And an uncircumcised male child, very important, and an uncircumcised male child who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, his life shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. Notice in verse 13, it is an everlasting covenant. That means as long as Abraham has seed that are male, they should be circumcised. And scripture stipulates that it should be done on the 8th day. Now, modern times, you might not be able to hit that 8th day on the dot because you might have to get a doctor to do the circumcision, as in the case with my sons and also myself. But it should be done. And this was done a long time ago because this realization was given a long time ago that I am a seed of Abram. And in being a seed of Abram, I need to obey Torah. I need to make sure my house follows Torah. So, and this happened even before I even had sons. I realized this because from the very first one, which was a boy, he was circumcised shortly after. The second one, a boy, same thing. The fourth one, a boy, same thing. And it was not until all three of them were circumcised that I actually circumcised. So I made sure that it wasn't doing a double take, making them do it and not partake. So at a senior age, just like Abram would have done, did it at that age. Okay, but if you're not the seed of Abram, it does not apply to you. You could be a believer in Mashiach and not be circumcised and be okay. But if you are a believer in Mashiach and you are a genetic Israelite, that Torah is specific to you, as it is to me. Therefore, we should do what the Torah says if we say we are who we are. And it has nothing to do with saving us because circumcision does not save. Circumcision is a sign. It's a sign that you are indeed the seed of Avram and a part of that covenant. And a lot of people say, well, I believe in the circumcision of the heart. Yes. But if you have the circumcision of the heart, you will also obey the Torah concerning circumcision, because the circumcision of the heart encourages you to keep the Torah. And that is the Torah. That's why the explanation given in Maasi or Acts chapter 15, because a council was brought to the early assembly concerning this very matter. And here is the understanding that was given from the Hebrew men who were discussing this concerning Gentiles. And this is found in Maasi 15 or Acts 15, verses 5 through 11. It says that, and some of the believers who belonged to the sect of the Pharisees, notice that Pharisees were believers also, Nazarene, they rose up saying, it is necessary to circumcise them and to command them to keep the Torah of Moshe. And the emissaries and elders came together to look into this matter. And when there had been much dispute, Kepha rose up and said to them, men, brothers, you know that a good while ago Elohim chose among us that by my mouth the Gentiles should hear the word of the good news and believe. And Elohim, who knows the heart, bore witness to them by giving them Ruach HaKodesh, as also to us, and made no distinction between us and them, cleansing their hearts by belief. Now then, why do you try Elohim by putting a yoke on the neck of the Talmudim, which neither our fathers nor we were able to bear? But through the favor of the Adon Yahushua HaMashiach, we trust to be saved in the same way as they. And all the crowd was silent, were listening to Barnabas Shaul declaring how many miracles, and it goes on. And what the ruling was, he says, and this is Yaakov now, who is the Nasi, saying, therefore I judge that we should not trouble those from among the Gentiles who are turning to Elohim. And he recommends that the Torah, these are elements of the Torah that they should observe, not necessarily of circumcision. So circumcision was never for Gentiles, but as the Torah command, specific to the Israelite, it is necessary to be obedient. So we come now to comments, questions, and discussions, and do hope that our little history lesson was okay.
Clarification, Cohen. Yes,
sir.
You said it was specific to the Israelites.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be correct to say specific to the Hebrews? Because Israelites are Hebrews, but there are other people who are Hebrews. And remember, Israel was circumcised as well. Yes. And not only Ishmael, but it would have been the 6 sons of Keturah also, because they're seed of Avram, and also Esau would have been circumcised. Now I know that the Muslims who track themselves as being descendants of Ishmael and Esau, they actually circumcised at the age 13, the same time that Ishmael received circumcision, whereas Israelites, the 8th day. Yes. And I also mentioned that. But if they follow the Torah, they would recognize that Yahuwah's command supersedes what happened with Ishmael. It's just that the command came at the time when Ishmael was 13. So they're doing it at 13 is not necessarily following Yahuwah's command. The command was circumcised of the offspring on the 8th day.
And 2, even though they were circumcised, they were Ishmael, neither Esau, neither the 6 sons of Keturah was selected to carry the privilege of the covenant and the seed being Moshiach Yahusha. So they might practice the circumcision, but the Torah, the covenant, no. That's why they do something else. They have it as a tradition because their father did it. They're going to do it too. But obeying the covenant, no. Imavek, that's the hand up or that's the stale hand? Imavek? Oh, okay, it's down. Okay, okay, okay.
Yes,
Any
sorry,
more?
I thought my mic was on. That was a stale hand. Sorry.
Okay, okay. Anybody else concerning what we have gone over so far? And we are laying foundation for the history of the Hebrew people. These are things that we ought to know because everything expands from the foundation.
Yes, Cohen.
Yes, yes, sir.
Again, piggybacking on the last thing you said about the covenant being specific to Yitzhak. Which covenant would this be? Would it have been the sign of circumcision or the covenant that says that he would establish his seed throughout the various generations? That would have been in the first part of chapter 17. All the way down to verse 7, where it says, "And I shall establish my covenant between me and you and your seed after you in their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be Elohim to you and your seed after you." I think this is the covenant that he was speaking to specifically in verse 21, rather than the sign, which is circumcision, because then Ishmael and all his seed would have been circumcised as well. Because the sign of circumcision would have followed all of them, because they're all Abraham. Yes, they would all be Abraham's seed at that time. Is he following the changing of his name?
Yes.
See, yeah, but it is that first covenant, and that's not even the first covenant, because the first covenant was in chapter 15, where he gave him the land. All of that land for him, and that was the first covenant.
Actually, it's only one covenant, all is the same. And the land was always a part of the covenant. It's not multiple covenants, it's just one.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one covenant, and circumcision itself is not necessarily a covenant, it's a sign of the covenant.
Right.
It means yeah, it means that you are a person identified as a covenanted person. You are B'nai Brit, you are a son of the covenant.
Right, right.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm still not clear on the name change from Abram to Abraham. I'm still not clear because I'm not clear on the meaning. So I can't see how it impacts.
Could I try, Cohen?
Go right ahead.
I have the understanding that you would have given.
Okay.
The name Avram. That name means exalted father or high father.
Okay.
So that's what that name means.
Abram.
Yes, right. Avram.
Okay.
Now, Abraham means father of many nations.
Okay.
Yes. And that is why even though Ishmael was not a part of this original covenant, in the sense that that covenant was specific to Yitzhak, but he was recipient of the blessings of the covenant, because even Yahuah told Abraham that Ishmael would also be the father of many nations.
Yes.
He promised him he would have 12 sons, and they would have their children. And so, in fact, it was in verse 20, they said, he is to bring forth 12 princes, and I shall make him a great nation.
Yes.
So he was part of that blessing on Abraham as the father of many nations.
Okay.
But then there was that specific covenant now established with Yitzhak.
Now I get it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Very good.
Okay, thank you. I get it.
Any more? Sorry.
No, I don't mean to be a pest, but
You're not.
unless I get something, it'll bug me and trouble me, you know. So I just had to ask this.
Yeah. No, Invicta, please do not ever think that you're bothering. We are in study. And unless you ask a question about something, you won't have the explanation. Right now you have both Dr. Kadi and I on the platform willing to answer any question concerning the scripture.
I'm grateful. Thank you.
Praise God. Anybody else? I I do hope that would yes, ma'am?
Yes. You see a typology here. Notice that Yitzhak was given his name even before he was conceived.
Yes.
And Yitzhak is a type of Yahushua, who was given his name before he was born. In fact, his name was given long before he was conceived, many years before.
Actually,
in another form, when Yeshayahu said what his name would be.
Right.
You see, so I see that parallel there.
Yes. If I remember correctly, I think there was more than just Yitzhak and Adon Yahusha who got their name before they were born, but definitely Yitzhak was the first, and he was prophesied to come, and he was given the name.
Yes.
This is our foundation. This is our true history, and I was talking to someone today and letting them know that our history did not begin in West Africa nor in the transatlantic, but it goes further back. And what we are doing through the study of the Hebrew Hebrew people is we are tying in the ancient history to modern history so that we have a thread to see where we come from, why we're here. With that, we can understand that we are here because of disobedience and that we could actually be taken away if we are obedient. And that's to the covenant. So we're talking about the covenant. And remember, it's only one covenant. Even the renewed covenant is the same covenant renewed with a different power of ratification. And by that I mean the blood of Master Yahusha was sprinkled on the same 10 words, the same terms and agreement. Nothing changed. So you don't have a change of covenant. You have a change of the ratifier. Okay? And that covenant goes all the way back to Avram. With one covenant. Okay. I do hope that this has been good for everybody. Some mics have not been open at all, but I'm so happy for the mics that work. Until next week, we were supposed to read up to chapter 25, so let's still keep it to 25 because we stopped at 18, and we can move forward from there. Again, laying more foundation, so as we move forward, we have a historical thread. Praise God. Thank each and every person for being here tonight. Thank you for those who are joining by recording. We do look forward to your continued participation in the studies, listening to the recording, and also checking back into the website with your questions and so on and so forth, or your chat. Thanks once again.